You know, it's interesting. I've been doing a subject recently. Here's the title of it: How to Turn Nothing into Something. How to turn nothing into something. And here's a little gist of what I've been covering. First, to turn nothing into something, you start with ideas and imagination. Now, it's hard to call ideas and imagination nothing. How tangible are ideas and imagination? It's a bit of a mystery. So you can't really call ideas that can be turned into a hotel, ideas that can be turned into an enterprise, ideas that can be turned into the Salk vaccine, ideas that can be turned into miracle products, ideas. You couldn't really call the idea nothing. It must have some kind of substance. And imagination can't really be nothing. We call it nothing because it isn't like tangible. It isn't like a podium. It isn't that real. But it is almost real. So to turn nothing into something, you start with ideas and imagination. Interesting. Ideas that become so powerful in your mind and your consciousness, they seem real to you even before they become tangible. Imagination that is so strong that you can actually see it. You can actually see it. When I built my first home for my family in Idaho all those years ago, before I started construction on this home, I used to take my friends and associates out to the vacant property and take them on a tour through the house. Is that possible? Is it possible to take someone on a tour through an imaginary house? And the answer is yes. I used to say, this is the 3-car garage. And the guy would look and say, yes, this garage will hold 3 cars. Right? I mean, I could really make it real, make it live. I would take them on a tour through the house. Here's the fireplace. And this fireplace is brick on one side and it's stone on the other side. I could make it real. Here's the rest of the house. Here's the kitchen with this view window. And they would look out the window as I took them on this tour. One day I made this house so real, one of my friends bumped his elbow on the fireplace. I mean, it was that real. So imagination, we call it nothing simply because nothing in terms of being tangible. But it is so real, it's almost real. So the first step is to imagine the possibilities. Imagine the possibilities. One of the reasons for seminars and sermons and the lyrics from songs and testimonials of others is to give us an idea of the possibilities. To imagine the possibilities. Now here's the second step of turning nothing into something. And that is to believe that what you imagine is possible for you. To believe that what you imagine is possible for you. And we become supported by testimonials that say something like, if I can do it, you can do it. And we start believing that. First, we imagine what's possible. Second, we start to believe that what's possible is possible for us. We might also believe because of our own testimonial. Here's what our testimonial might say. If I did it once, what? I could do it again. If it happened for me before, it could very well happen again. So we believe not only the testimonials of others who say, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can change, you can change. If I can start with nothing, you can start with nothing. If I can turn it all around, you can turn it all around. Then we also have the support of our own testimonial. If we've accomplished something before, if we did it once, we can do it again. If we did it last year, we could do it this year. So those two things are very powerful. Now, they're not actual substance, although they're very close. One is to imagine the possibilities. Two is to imagine that what's possible is possible for you. Here's what we call that second step, faith to believe. In fact, one writer said this, faith is substance. An interesting word, that the powerful ability to believe in the possibilities that are possible for you. If you have faith to believe, that faith is substance Substance meaning a piece of the real. Now, it's not the real. It's not the podium. But it is so powerful that it's so close to being real. So the writer said the faith is a piece of, the substance of, and then he called it evidence, substance and evidence. So it's difficult to call substance and evidence nothing. It is nothing in the sense that it can't be seen except with the inner eye. You can't get a hold of it because it isn't yet tangible. But it is possible to turn nothing, especially ideas and imagination. Now, if you believe that it's possible for you, that substance and evidence becomes so powerful that it now can be turned into reality. So the first step is to imagine what's possible. Second step, to believe that what's possible is possible for you. Now here's the third step. And that is to go to work and make it real. You go to work and make it a podium. You go to work and make it a hotel. You go to work and make it an enterprise. You go to work and make it good health. You go to work and make it an association. You go to work and make it a good marriage. You now go to work and make it a movement. You make it tangible. You make it viable. You breathe life into it. And then you construct it. That is such a powerful ability for all of us as human beings. I just wanted to take the time to drop that in before I move on to so many other subjects. How to turn nothing into something. Now, here's the last part. It takes the disciplined activity to turn nothing into something finally. Faith without the activity serves no useful purpose. But faith invested into the activity creates reality. Once I understood that, I knew then it was possible to build a career. I knew it was possible to build good health. I knew it was possible to build a relationship. I knew I could participate in the constructing of valuable things, valuable enterprises, valuable things that would help and benefit other people. I knew I could be part of it, and I knew I could do it once I understood this formula. So here's the last part now. Appreciate now the disciplines that turns imagination into reality. Because without the disciplines, it doesn't work. The discipline is the last piece of the miracle process. The last piece of the miracle process is to do the work. To do the work of good health. To do the work of a relationship. To do the work of building this hotel. Incredible. So now here's the next one, especially I'm sure for this mature audience that have come to be with me on this weekend. To welcome the disciplines. Now, unless you're mature and unless you really understand, some people have said, I wouldn't want to welcome disciplines. They're distasteful. But once you understand that they are the miracle piece of the process, then you welcome the discipline. That's why I'm sure the ancient formula said 6 days of discipline. That's a good word to add. 6 days of disciplined activity creates the miracle of your living, creates the miracle of a fortune, creates the miracle of a city, creates the miracle of a polio vaccine, creates the miracle of music. Ideas and imagination, believing in the possibilities, and then invest the imagination and the faith into the discipline. Part of the timing one I just had that experience that I've shared in other seminars when the Girl Scout knocked on my door. And I walked to the door and she gave me the big pitch on the Girl Scout cookies, best organization in the world for girls. Got several flavors, time to buy the cookies, only $2. And with a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. No problem, I wanted to buy. Big problem, I didn't have $2 in my pocket. And I didn't want to tell her that. So I did what I thought was next best. I lied to her. And I said, hey, look, I've already bought plenty of Girl Scout cookies. We've still got plenty in the house we haven't eaten yet. She said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And she leaves. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I mean, how low can you get lying to a Girl Scout? I mean, that's low down. I told myself that day, this will never happen to me again. One of those experiences. It's called like life-changing. I said, I'm going to search till I find better opportunities so my pocket won't be empty and the bank account won't be empty, and I won't be so far behind on my promises to my family. And it was shortly after that I meet Earl Schoaf, who taught me how to be wealthy, who taught me how to change my life. So who knows what the connection is, right? Someone says when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I don't know all the mystery of that. But anyway, it seems like some of those things uniquely happen. But it was Mr. Schoaf over a 5-year period before he died at age 49 who taught me some extraordinarily simple things. He only went to the 9th grade in school, never finished high school, never went to college, never went to university. So he put his ideas and his experiences in very simple language, which I think for me, a kid from the farms of Idaho, that simplicity was so important. Because if it would have been technical, I'd have missed it. If it would have been mystic, I would have, backed away. But it was just basic, blunt, ABC, familiar stuff that I hadn't thought of before. And he did start to remind me, and those ideas changed my life. Mr. Schoaf was the one when I said, this is all they pay. He said, you've been working 6 years, Mr. Rohn, how come you're not doing better? And I said, this is all the company pays. He says, well, that's not true. I said, no, this is my paycheck. This is all the company pays. He said, no, this is all the company pays you. I thought, that's a new way to look at it, right? He said, doesn't the company pay 2, 3, 4, 5 times this amount to other people? I said, well, yes. He said, well, then this is not all the company pays. It's all they pay you. And if you qualified, wouldn't your income grow 2, 3, 4, 5 times? I said, I suppose. So he said, we don't have to work on the company. We have to work on you. See, that was the beginning of what he called the phrase personal development. I told him things cost too much. He said, no, you can't afford them. I thought, well, that's a new concept. I hadn't thought about that. We put some of the valuable things on the high shelf, so you can't get to them until you qualify. If you want the things on the higher shelf, you got to stand on the books you read. Every book you read, you get to stand a little higher so you can get the things on the higher shelf. See, I learned those concepts. It was so incredible. And here was the most important one. Success is something you attract by the person you become. See, that phrase changed my life. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. It's like chasing a butterfly. You can't quite catch it. Success is something you attract by becoming an attractive person. See, those were new concepts to me. I'm just working hard trying to make a living. Sharing has a certain unique magic of its own. Here's what I learned in sharing ideas. If you share an idea with 10 different people, they get to hear it once, you get to hear it 10 times. So here's part of self-interest for yourself, getting you even better prepared for the future. Share ideas. Share with your family. Share with the people around you. Share with other employees. Share with your colleagues. Because by sharing, 2 things happen. Here's what we call it. I don't know how to explain it, but I do know it happens. And I don't know all about how it happens or why it happens. It just happens. When one person shares with another, 2 things happen. The audience could be transformed, and so could the speaker. If you share with someone else, they could be transformed. You may have dropped in at the right time. This may be their moment. They've got 3 numbers dialed into the lock already. And if you say it well and say it right, you'll be the 4th number that they can dial into the lock of their personal experience, and the door will come open and there's opportunity they never saw before. The person who hears can be transformed. But here's what else is exciting. The person who speaks can be transformed.